Hi, this is demonstrating FocusReader. For episode 89, App of the Week, I am demonstrating FocusReader. FocusReader. For this demonstration, I will be using my Pixel 6 Pro with Android 13 and TalkBack 13.0. In the way of a speech TTS engine, I will be utilizing that Google Speech Services. I am on my home screen and will navigate my way to my MISC folder where FocusReader is residing, and will tap on that to go from there. I will now find and tap on MISC.
Folder, MISC, 4 or more items.
Here is my MISC folder. I'll tap here to activate this folder. I am now in the folder of my miscellaneous and will now tap on FocusReader.
FocusReader.
Here is FocusReader. I'll tap here to activate.
FocusReader. Allow FocusReader to send you notifications. Allow button.
The first thing we heard upon launching the app is a dialog asking us as to whether or not we would like to allow this app to send us notifications. Now, if you want it to be sending you notifications, then you tap on the allow, which is highlighted. On the other hand, I'm going to tap on do not allow.
Don't allow button.
There we go. I'll tap here.
FocusReader. Local.
Tapping on do not allow or tapping on allow, whichever one you choose, you are now placed on the screen that says local. And below that, we have some items. In other words, these are services that you can employ or choose to use. If you are not a Pro subscriber, you can only use one source at a time. I am not a Pro user, and so I can only choose to use one source. And some of the sources include the following.
Feedly.
We have Feedly,
InnoReader.
InnoReader,
Freshers. Tiny RSS.
Tiny RSS,
Fever.
The
Old Reader.
The Good Old Reader,
Feedbin. Baskix Reader.
And that would be the last item. Now, depending on which one you have, and it really doesn't matter which one it is that you tap on, it will offer you to sign into that source. So I both have Feedly and InnoReader subscriptions, or I have subscribed to those, meaning I have signed up to those sources. I will choose InnoReader, for example, and I'll move my finger up and tap on InnoReader.
InnoReader.
Here is InnoReader. That's ENOREADER. I'll tap here to activate.
Web view. Chrome. 70%. Authorize application. Web view.
I tapped on that and it's asking me to authorize the application.
The following app wants to connect to your InnoReader account. Heading 3. This app will be able to read your basic profile information. Bullet. Read your subscription data. Bullet. Change your subscription data.
And on it goes. And below that, on the left, is the authorize. Now, the reason why I'm getting this dialog is because I had already signed into my InnoReader account before. Now, if this is your first time and you haven't created or signed into any of these, then you'll be asked to sign in, and you could sign in with either Google, Facebook, or sign in with your email that you are signed for on that particular source of those items that we saw earlier. And now, after that, then you'll get to this screen that I am on, and you want to authorize it to access your account. In other words, I am authorizing it to access my InnoReader account. That is, authorizing FocusReader to access my InnoReader. Now, I'll tap on Authorize, which is to the left in the middle of the phone.
Authorize button.
Here is the Authorize button. I'll tap here to authorize.
5% progress bar. FocusReader. In progress bar. FocusReader. A narrator.
I am now in the main UI, and it says InnoReader because that's the source from which FocusReader is getting my material.
Showing items 1 to 18 of 18.
And in here, let's go ahead and show you what we have. Starting from the top right, we've got a couple buttons. There is the search and then the add new content to the right of that. And these are the ones I'm talking about.
Search button.
Search, and to the right of that,
Add new content.
add new content. And those are the two buttons on the top right. To the top left corner, we have something that says Profile.
Profile button.
Profile. At the bottom, we've got some tabs. Starting from the left, we've got the following, and I'll be going from right, starting from the left bottom. We've got
Refresh button.
Refresh,
Mark as read button.
Mark as read,
Show unread articles button.
and Show unread articles. That's the last tab there at the bottom. Now let's go back to the top left and tap on Profile.
Profile button.
I will tap on Profile and check out the things that we have in Profile.
Menu. All accounts.
Tapping on Profile, we hear All Accounts. And of course, as I indicated, I only have one because I haven't subscribed to the subscription of FocusReader. And by the way, even though I haven't subscribed to any of the subscription, there are no ads on this app. So we go from accounts to,
warcare@gmail.com.
that's my account there.
Become a pro.
Become a pro, that's you tap here to subscribe, and there's monthly, annual, and all of that. Next,
Choose theme.
choose the theme. In other words, whether you want it dark, light, or whatever. Next,
New features.
new features,
Community.
community,
Settings.
and settings. And probably the settings is the most important one in here because it has lots and lots of items. So let's go ahead now and tap on the settings and see what it is that's content within the settings. I will now tap on settings.
FocusReader. Settings.
I am in the settings now and putting my finger near the top. I'll go from top to bottom, and we've got the first item as
Sync. 1 of 6.
sync is our first item. In other words, if you tap here, you could choose how frequently it should be synced, and the default is like an hour. And the minimum would be like 5 minutes. So it's up to you. You can choose how you want this app to be checking for articles and things like that. Below sync, we've got
Reading. 2 of 6.
reading. And if we tap here, let's look at the items that we have in reading.
Feed list. Heading. 1 of 31. In list. 31 items.
So the feed list, we've got
Order by. Alphabetically. 2 of 31.
order by alphabetically, and that's the default. If you don't want to do that, you could tap here and change it to whether ascending by alphabet or whatever, or descending, and you can choose whatever it is, but by default is set to alphabetical. Next, we've got
Show unread count. On. Switch. 3 of 31.
show unread count, and that by default is on. Next,
Show bottom bar. On. Switch. 4 of 31.
show the bottom bar, and that is on. Next,
Open folders as list of articles. 5 of 31.
open the folders as list of articles. Next,
Article list. Heading. 6 of 31.
We get to the article list heading, and below that heading, we've got the following items.
The article list show feed icon, off, switch, 7 of 31.
You can turn that on if that's what you want. Next.
Show bottom bar, on, switch, 8 of 31.
Show the bottom bar, and it's on by default. Next. That is when you are in articles.
Scrolling, smooth, 9 of 31.
And we have the scrolling, and by default is smooth scrolling. If you want to change it to something else, you tap there to go change it. So as you can tell, I'm not necessarily going into any of these or into all of these items. However, I just want to present them to you so that you can choose what you want to do. Because if I decide to go into each and every one of those, it will take a long time to go through this. Next.
After reading, scroll to the next article, on, switch, 10 of 31.
Next.
Click the image to preview in card view, off, switch, 11 of 31.
Next.
Click the image to preview in magazine view, off, switch, 12 of 31.
Next.
Article view, heading, 13 of 31.
And now we get to the article view.
Full screen reading, off, switch, 14 of 31.
Full screen reading. If you want, you turn this on. If you turn that on, then the article will be displayed in full. By default, it isn't turned on. Next.
Show images in the article, on, switch, 15 of 31.
You can choose to leave it to show images by default. And if you do not care about images, most especially those of us who are blind, you could turn this off so that you have a nice, clean article. Next.
Show bottom bar, on, switch, 16 of 31.
Show bottom bar, that's when you're reading in full view.
Pure reading, streamline the style of article content to bring a more clean reading layout. If you find a problem with the article content style, please try to turn on this switch, off, switch, 17 of 31.
And you can turn that on if you want that pure reading. Next.
Show translate button, only displayed when the language of the article is inconsistent with the language of the system settings, 18 of 31.
So about translation, and by default, it will only show that if the article is incompatible with the language of the system. You could tap here and go turn on or choose to do not or whatever. Next.
Double click on the content of article, full text, 19 of 31.
In other words, if you double tap on an article, it will show you the full text of that article. Now, if you do not want to see full article when tapped on, then you could tap here and go choose how you would like to view it. Next.
Support MathJax rendering. MathJax rendering may cause dollar symbols in articles to be incorrectly identified as math formulas. Off, switch, 20 of 31.
That explains itself, and so by default is off. I'll leave it off. Next.
Display, heading, 21 of 31.
Now we're down to the display heading, and below display we've got the following.
Font size, use system, need to restart the app, 22 of 31.
By default is using the system fonts. If you want a specific kind of font, you tap here and you have to restart it to take effect. Next.
Article view navigation, heading, 23 of 31.
Article view navigation, and we've got the following.
Reading navigation direction, navigate through different articles with a horizontal swipe, 24 of 31.
Next.
Swipe right, close the article interface, 25 of 31.
If you don't
Showing
want
item
that
16
happening,
to 25 of
you
31.
could tap that to go change that. Next.
Use volume buttons to navigate, none, 26 of 31.
The
Showing
volume
items 20 to
keys
31 of
is
31.
set to none, but if you want to use it for something, I don't know if that would work with TalkBack or not, then you tap there and go choose how you would use those volume keys. Next.
Article list gesture, heading, 27 of 31.
We are now down to the article list gesture, and these are the gestures that we find underneath that heading.
Swipe right, toggle starred, 28 of 31.
If you don't want that, you could tap here and go change that. If you don't want swiping right to star an article, you could tap here to go change that. Next.
Share, heading, 29 of 31.
Now here's the sharing, and we've got
Quick share service, none, 30 of 31.
quick share service, none. In other words, if you want to set a particular app that when you tap on the share button, it should automatically share it with that particular app. Then you will tap here to go choose such an app that you would like to make it the default, that when you tap the share, then automatically whatever article it is will be shared to that app that you have chosen. By default, it isn't. So what that means is that when you tap on the share, you will be asked to pick out the app that you would like to share the article with. Next.
Article sharing. Share article content, 31 of 31.
And that's the last item. Now, I do want to mention something here in passing, that if you are a swiper, and if you swipe from here, then it will wrap you back to the list of items. And for example, let me say I swipe here.
Sync, 1 of 6, in list, 6 items.
See, now it takes me to sync, 1 of 6. And if I swipe again,
Reading, 2 of 6.
That's the reading. Now, I do want to mention that that is not visible on the screen. However, for some reason, even though it's being overlaid by the current item or current setting that we're in right now, you can still hear that using your screen reader. I will go back. I have gone back.
Reading, 2 of 6.
That was the one that we were looking at. The next item below reading would be
General, 3 of 6.
General. Let's go ahead and tap here and see what this contains. Upon tapping on General, starting from the top, this is what we've got.
Browser, heading, 1 of 19, in list, 19 items.
We got the browser heading, and below that we've got
Choose which browser to use, default custom tabs, 2 of 19.
In other words, if you want to use a particular browser, because by default, if you decide to open something in the browser, it would use the default browser that your system is using. For instance, in my case, in its current state, it will open such an article. If I decide to use a browser or view in browser, it will open it using the Chrome browser. You could choose a different one if that's what you prefer. Next.
Mark as read, heading, 3 of 19.
Under Mark as read, we've got
Mark articles as read on scroll, off, switch, 4 of 19.
Next.
Mark article as read on open, on, switch, 5 of 19.
Next.
Confirm mark all as read, on, switch, 6 of 19.
Next.
Mark all read action, return home page, 7 of 19.
Next.
Custom domains for pro heading, 8 of 19.
This one has to do with the pro, and under that heading, we've got the following.
Articles from these domain will always be opened in external app, e.g. open YouTube videos feed items directly in YouTube app, 9 of 19.
So if you have the pro version, and if there's an article that has a YouTube URL, for example, when you tap there, it'll open in the YouTube app. Next.
Individuation, heading, 10 of 19.
Under individuation, we've got
Custom launcher for pro. Not all mobile phones support this feature. Please test by yourself, 11 of 19.
That explains itself. Next.
Vibration, heading, 12 of 19. Showing items 1 to 12 of 19.
And we got
Turn on vibration feedback. Some operations such as switching articles will have vibration feedback, off, switch, 13 of 19.
And
showing items 9 to 19 of 19.
Next.
TTS, heading, 14 of 19.
We come to the TTS section. In other words, if you want to be able to use a TTS readout, instead of using your screen reader, you could choose a TTS engine to read your articles. And below that, we've got
TTS engine, default, 15 of 19.
It says default. In my case, that would mean using the Google TTS. Now, I'm going to tab here for giggles and just go choose something else and see how that would pan out. So I'll tap here.
TTS engine. Default, in list.
And it pops up my TTS engines that I have on my system.
Acapla TTS. Speech Services by Google. Acapla TTS. Caitlin TTS. Iduc Claire TTS. Iduc Dodo Hannah TTS. Heather TTS. Catherine TTS. RH Voice.
I'm going to go choose the Eloquence TTS, for example.
Multilingual TTS. Speak TTS. eSpeaking. eSpeak. ETI Eloquence TTS.
Here is ETI Eloquence. I'll choose this. I'll tap here to activate.
FocusReader. TTS Engine. ETI Eloquence TTS. 15 of 19. In list, 19 items.
Next.
Showing items not. TTS setting. 16 of 19.
TTS settings. In other words, if you tap here, it will take you to the normal place where you would see your default TTS, and you'll have to tap on that preferred TTS engine to go choose a TTS. So since we've chosen a TTS above for this, we don't need to go in here again. Next.
Others, heading, 17 of 19.
We have others, and then next.
Disable Firebase Crashlytics. I suggest to keep this option. It will help me analyze the problem of the app. Off, switch, 18 of 19.
And
Clear cache. Image and browser caches used. 129.64 kelvins. Delete these caches will not have any effect on app usage. Click to delete directly. 19 of 19.
And that's the last one in there. I'll go back to the previous item.
Settings. Out of list.
Or rather, going back to the previous screen. And below General, we've got the following item.
Backup and restore. 4 of 6.
Backup and restore.
Send feedback. 5 of 6.
Send feedback. And the last item here
About. 6 of 6.
is the About. Now I'm going to go back to the main UI of the app.
FocusReader. A narrator. Out of list.
We are back to the main UI. Now let's go back to the top right and see the two buttons that we saw earlier. The first one is
Search button.
Search. That means if I tap here, I'll be searching my sources. To the right of that,
Add new content.
Add new content. So for example, in my sources that I have, I'll show you some of the sources that I have.
Android Central, Android Forums,
Got
News,
Android
Reviews,
Central,
Android Developers Blog, 8 of 18. Ars Technica, 355, 9 of. Engadget, 555, 10 of 8. GSMArena.com, latest.
You get the drift. So if you want to add some other source, for example, say you want to add Android Police, you will tap on that Add New Content, and there will be an edit field for you to type in the name of what you're looking for, or the name of the site, or the URL of that site. I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Add new content, out of list. FocusReader. Add new content, powered by Feedly.
And if you move your finger down, you're going to find a search field. Or you can pick from one of these items.
Software, row 2. Health, row 3. Game, column 1. Science, row 5. Business, row 4.
And those are arranged in rows and columns. But like I said, near the top, you could type or paste the URL that you want to add. So for example, let's say we want to add Android Police.
Add new content, powered by Feedly, out of grid. Type a name, or paste a URL, edit box.
And I'll tap here.
Type a name, or paste a URL. Showing English US QWERTY.
And I'm going to use the voice dictation and simply say Android Police.
Voice input.
Android Police. And now I'll put my finger down and look at the results.
Clear query, button. Android Police, feed, looking after everything Android, last updated 1D, 130,797 readers, 1 of 8. Subscribe, button. Detected.
And to the right of that will be the subscribe. Move my finger down again.
Android Police, for the latest Android news, phone reviews, and more, last updated 4D, 350 readers, 3 of 8.
And to the right of that, of course, will be that subscribe.
Android Police uploads on YouTube, for the latest Android news, phone reviews, and more, last updated 4D, 45 readers, 4.
By now, you understand the drift. That's how you go about adding content. Now, if you don't want to do that or you don't know what you're looking for and you simply want to use a keyword, for example, you could simply use a keyword.
Add new content, powered by Feedly. Type a name or paste a URL. Showing.
Now, I'm going to type the word dogs or dog. D-O-G. See if we find anything relating to dogs.
D. D. O. O. G. G.
I typed in the word dog. D-O-G. I will now tap on search.
Search. Add new content, powered by Feedly. Keyboard.
And now put my finger down and see if I find anything having to do with dog or dogs.
Dogster. Dogster is a publication where dog lovers come together to get the latest expert advice about dog behavior, health, news and entertainment. Last updated 2D 3860 readers, 1 of 100, in list, 100 items.
And of course, to the right of that, you'll find that subscribe button.
Subscribe button. Detected. Text
Move my finger
plus.
down.
Dog tipper, looking for ways to celebrate life with your dog. We're here. The Doggington Post. Doggingtonpost.com was created for the love of dogs. Citus Judy Slot Online Terbaik Dan Terperkaya, Kumpulan Citus Judy Slot Online
I have no idea what that one is. I'll move my finger down.
Showing Dogo News, kids news articles, kids current events, plus kids news on science, sports, and more. Dogo.
You got the drift. Now I'm going to go back to the main UI and look at one article and see if we could read it. I'll now go back.
FocusReader. Add new content, out of list. Ars Technica, 355, 9 of 18. Android Developers Blog, 8 of 18.
Here's Android Developers Blog. I'm going to tap on this one.
FocusReader. Android Developers Blog, out of list. Showing items.
I'll put down my finger at random, see if I find an article.
Build apps for the new Samsung devices, posted by Diana Wong, Android Product Manager, Ksenia Shumelchik, Developer Relations Engineer, and Sarah Vickerman, Android Developer Marketing. This week, Samsung launched the latest devices to come to the Android ecosystem at their Galaxy Unpacked event. If you haven't already, check out their 2 new foldables, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4, and their new lineup of watches running on Wear OS, the Galaxy Watch 5 series. You can learn more about their announcements here, with the Excitem 7D, 6 of 16, in list, 16 items.
I'll tap here.
FocusReader. Web view.
And it opens up the article. So now I'm going to put my finger down.
Long click to switch service for full text.
And it says long click
Web
to
view.
switch service for full text. And I'll put my finger down.
Posted by Diana Wong, Android Product Manager, Ksenia Shumelchik, Developer Relations Engineer, and Sarah Vickerman, Android Developer Marketing.
Okay, and I could decide to simply double tap here or use whatever gesture to do continuous read from here. I'll give a little example of that and then stop the reading.
This week, Samsung launched the latest devices to come to the Android ecosystem at their Galaxy Unpacked event. If you haven't already, check out their 2 new foldables, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4, and their new lineup of watches running on Wear OS, the Galaxy Watch 5 series. You can learn more about their announcements here. Period. With the excitement around these new devices, there's never been a better time to invest in making sure your app has an amazing experience for users on large screens or Wear OS. Here's what you need to know to get started.
I tapped to stop the reading. Tapping or double tapping pops up some buttons at the bottom. Starting from the left, we've got
Add star button.
Add star, going right.
Next article button.
Next article.
Full text button.
Full text.
Detected. Text GA.
That means if you tap here, it's going to show you the sharing. Next.
More options button.
More options. If I tap here, for example, it'll pop some menu near the bottom, which is a vertical arrangement, and we've got
Open in browser.
Open in browser, and if I tap here, as I indicated earlier, it'll be opening my Chrome browser. Next, below that,
Share.
share. Next,
Copy link.
copy the link. Next,
Fonts.
the fonts. Next,
Play.
and that's the last item. If I tap here, it should use the chosen TTS engine that we chose earlier. And in this case, it should be using the ETI Eloquence that I chose. I'll tap here to see what happens. So I'll tap here to play.
Web view.
Solo, I'm going to turn up the volume.
Sound settings.
Product Manager, Sania Shumelchik, Developer Relations Engineer, and Sarah Vickerman, Android Developer Marketing. This week, Samsung launched
And I
the
can
latest
close
devices
my
that
screen
come
or
to
shut
the
off.
Android ecosystem at their Galaxy Unpacked event. If you haven't already, check out their 2 new foldables, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4, and their new lineup of watches running on Wear OS, the Galaxy Watch
And
5
I can
series.
shut
You
off
can
my
learn more
screen
about their
and it'll
announcements
continue
here.
to
With
read.
the excitement
Now,
around these
with
new
that
devices,
reading, I'm
there's
going to
never
turn
been a
down the
better
volume
time to
of
invest in making
the
sure your app has an amazing
TTS
experience for
output.
users
Sound
on large
settings.
screens or Wear OS. Here's what you need to know to get
At the
started.
bottom, we've got some buttons, and these buttons would be, starting from the left,
This add star button.
we still have those,
Next article button. Full text button. Detected text GA. More options
and that
button.
more. If I tap on that more, then tapping on that play at the bottom of the pop-up will stop the playback.
Ads. This week, Samsung Play fonts. Play.
Tap here, and it
Web view.
stops the playback. And that's a description and demonstration of the Focus Reader. FocusReader.